Let me go back to a couple of the issues that you've already mentioned, poverty in the economy more broadly. 46 million Americans in poverty, 15%. You said there is a big distinction between how you would help the poor and what Governor Romney would do. I've been looking at this, researching your own positions. I don't see much difference. You believe, as Governor Romney does, that this should primarily be an enterprise of states in the United States to provide that social safety net to poor Americans.
Well, but one of the big differences is I believe there should be a very dramatic increase in school choice for the very poor. I'll give you an example that he himself mentioned on the very same day. He favors indexing minimum wage when virtually every economist in the country believes that further makes it difficult for young people to get a job. This is a country right now where 43% of young African Americans are unemployed. In Nevada, it's 31% of all teenagers are unemployed. We should be making it easier for young people to get a job, not raising the cost of hiring young people, making it harder. I'm for much, much bolder tax changes than he is. For example, I would have a zero capital gains rate. He limits his capital gains tax break to people under $200,000. That means 1 million small businesses would not be eligible for his tax plan. I also have a 15% flat tax option modeled on something they've done in Hong Kong for the last 40 years. That's actually about the Romney tax rate, and it would let Americans would be able to fill out one page, list the number of dependents they have, and end up paying about 15% on their taxes. My goal is to actually bring government down to the revenue level, not raise revenue to try to catch up with Obama's spending. Well, and I think that's a very bold difference from Romney.
Let me ask you about the economy generally and this jobs report. I want to put up, as I often do, the unemployment chart for the Obama presidency. If you go back to 2009, February of that year, 8.2%, the high point in October of 2009 at 10.1%. And here we are, January of this year, back to 8.3%. And how is it that you can say this administration has not led economic recovery?
It's very simple, David. You didn't include the number of people who've dropped out of the workforce. And when you include the number of people who've quit looking for work because they're convinced the Obama administration's economy is so bad they can't find a job, it jumps up to about 12%. When you include the number of people who have part-time jobs who wish they had a full-time job, it's at 16 or 17%. I mean, this is an administration which has actually shrunk the workforce fairly dramatically in the last few years. I think it's the lowest male participation rate in the labor force since the 1940s, right after World War II. So when you take, there's a number called U6, which is all of these factors. It's still a very dangerous, very dismal situation. And the Congressional Budget Office has warned that they believe unemployment is going to go back up this summer and fall, and they think it'll stay high through 2014. And I think the Federal Reserve has a very similar forecast of a weak economy through 2014.
If there is job creation throughout the rest of this year, even if it is not profound, even if it doesn't keep up with population growth, do you think as a Republican it will be difficult to make the case against this president as he's vying for re-election?
Well, it depends on what the job creation looks like. I mean, if you're talking about we get down to 7.9% in the fourth year of the longest recession since the Great Depression, he's still got a challenge. If it all is combined with the highest priced gasoline in American history because of his anti-American energy policies, he's still going to have a challenge. And if we got to that level of recovery because he's borrowing trillions of dollars from our children and grandchildren, he's still going to have a challenge. There's a very simple question to ask the American people. Do you think Washington's on the right track or the wrong track? By an overwhelming margin, the American people believe that Washington's on the wrong track, and I think that's going to be a big burden for President Obama to carry this fall. His policies have consistently, I think, weakened the country. He has an Environmental Protection Agency proposal that would raise the price of gasoline by 25 cents a gallon. There are very few Americans who want to see the price of gasoline raised by government to 25 cents a gallon.